Hi guys! So it's that time of the month again where we look at the books that I have managed to read in the previous month, which was July. I read 7 books. This is like unheard of for me. It's great because it means I'm catching up with my reading challenge, so I'm 10 books behind now. But progress is great. Hopefully I can keep it going. Though one of these was a short story and the other was a poetry collection. Technically, does that mean I'm cheating? I don't care, we're gonna count them. The first book that I read in the month of July, and you know about this already because I have mentioned it, was Jurassic Park by Michael Crichton. I know I said in the previous video Crichton, but then I've been watching other stuff mention this, and everybody says Crichton. Have I been saying it wrong? I will be honest right now, this was my favourite book of July. It's just brilliant. And not just because it's dinosaurs. I think some people might be put off because they feel like they're particularly familiar with the story of this from watching the movie, but some of the outcomes, and especially some of the personalities in this book, are actually quite different from the movie. In fact, some characters are pretty kick-ass, and some characters that you wouldn't know about from the film, and others are actual real dicks. Like Hammond. Even more so. It's not cute and innocent in the book. It's suspenseful, at times it's terrifying, it's always fast paced, and it hooks you and you have to keep going with it because you want to know what happens. It's brilliant, I love it. And there's dinosaurs. The second book that I then read in July was All I Know Now by Carrie Fletcher. Carrie is a YouTuber here on the YouTubes. Her channel is called It's Way Past My Bedtime, and her channel is brilliant, you should go check it out. She kind of does advicey videos, she's book videos and general chit-chatty videos, but they're really great. She's just a lovely and really down-to-earth person. Had I been younger, this is probably everything that I probably ever needed to know. However, being an adult, having read this, without having this valuable information, and in fact, I am older than Carrie, kind of just makes me feel a bit of a failure in life, not going to lie. But that's in no way taking anything away from Carrie because she's done so much in her life and worked so hard to get there. Like, she really is a person to look up to. Between the theatre to writing book and her new novel that's coming out and her music and her YouTube, her having a successful YouTube channel, it's really commendable. And I think we have to accept the fact that we are living in a digital age where it is YouTubers and these sorts of personalities that our children and the younger generations are looking up to, and Carrie is a great person that kids should be looking up to, and it's a great book, it's a great read, but definitely it's great advice in here if you're of the younger audience. The third book that I then read, which I've done a complete video of, I will link down below, was The Gracekeepers by Kirsty Logan. This is just such a beautifully written, atmospheric and dreamlike book. It kind of confronts you with issues to do with grief and mourning and kind of that inner battle with inner demons. I would say it's not even the content that necessarily makes this book, but it's the way it is written. It is written in a way that exposes you to a wave of emotion and turmoil, but at the same time comes back and becomes a blanket to comfort you, to let you know that it's all going to be okay. Why didn't I think of that quote when I made the video? The fourth book that I then read, which is a short story, short fairy tale should I say, is Hansel and Gretel, which is narrated by Neil Gaiman and illustrated by Lorenzo Mattotti. Still don't know how to say it, I'm sorry. This book itself really is a piece of art. Neil Gaiman's narration is absolutely beautiful. He just has such a poetic way of words. It's amazing. And it is really beautifully illustrated. They're really raw and rough, but it kind of adds to the eerie and creepiness of the story. However, I wouldn't call this a reinterpretation or even a reimagining. Although Neil Gaiman has beautifully written it, it's almost the same way oral history worked, where a story is known by everybody, and as it gets passed down and then somebody writes it, it's still the same story, but he's just beautifully written it. But I think it could have gone further, it could have been darker, it could have been creepier, and I would have been okay if it had been longer to make it so. So, though it's a piece of art, slightly wish it had been more. I then finally picked up Ariel by Sylvia Plath, which is a collection of her poetry, some of her last poems up until the leading of her death, which is terribly sad. Oh, I don't know. I know had it been when I was going through some of my darker times, I literally would have grasped onto this like gospel and just ate it all up. But I think coming from where I am now, there was something quite difficult about it to read. And that's all in credit to Sylvia Plath's writing, because she wrote this collection of poetry absolutely stunningly. Her description and her imagery really well encapsulated her as a writer who was essentially eroding away until her death as this person just crumbling on the inside. I think I'm in a place in my life nowadays where I really don't want to go back to my darker times, so I find them quite difficult, but it is beautiful and I can appreciate them. So yeah. Two poems I particularly appreciated was Lady Lazarus and especially Daddy. Daddy was really good. I really did enjoy that. The sixth book that I then read is actually on my Kindle because I own none of this person's actual books in physical form, which is annoying me. I'm going to have to find them in a charity shop or something. But the sixth book was The Lost Hero, which is the first book in the Heroes of Olympus series by Riordan. This is kind of a sub-series, parallel series to the Percy Jackson series. Although there is a host of characters within this that we are previously familiar with, there is three new main protagonists who narrate this story to us. We have Leo, we have Piper, and we have Jason. These are just quick, easy to read and really enjoyable middle grade books. But they are really well researched and a great merger between antiquity and modern day. So I really highly recommend them if you're wanting something to do with Greek and Greek mythology and Roman mythology, but you want it in a light and easy form. They're really fun. And then the last book that I read in July, literally on the last day, was Only Ever Yours by Louise O'Neill. Oh no. No. I don't know if it's just me. Maybe I'm being too harsh, because everybody seems to like this book that has read it. But if you've seen from my Goodreads page, I give this a very low star rating and a rather harsh review. I don't know. I'm not somebody that gets triggered by books, but this is triggering as... I do understand when books try to approach difficult subjects as a means of education and awareness, but I don't think this was done very well. I don't know. The premise of this book really excited me, and the description that it was a somewhat sort of YA Margaret Atwood The Handmaid's Tale, which I absolutely adore. It's one of my favourite books that I read this year. But I just don't think this scratches the surface at all. The premise was there, it really was. This dystopian society where there is no females naturally, so you get into issues of male creation of females the way they want them to be perfect and male control of females. And I love the ideas of the Eves and the Chastities being these almost nun-like carers in this school. This idea of a male control and a strive for perfection and this almost self-deprecation, none of that at all is what I had an issue with. In fact, I found stuff like that really intriguing. I really do. And this book is dark and it is extremely disturbing, and I think that is probably even more so because it's set in this almost very imaginable, perhaps not necessarily realistic, but imaginable situation. Like, it's not so unthinkable. But I've never felt so attacked by a book before in my life. I will say now, this book does deal with issues of eating disorders, body dysmorphia, issues with self-esteem, mental health. There are subjects that in a real life situation for me are stuff for me, but I'm not triggered. Never usually triggered by stuff I watch or stuff I read, but there was something about the way this was written. Felt like a personal attack upon me, and that's what it felt like. I don't know, I can't explain it. There was at one point I thought I was going to have to put the book down and walk away and just not continue with it, or maybe read it at some other point. And maybe I should have done that, because maybe I'm just not in a good headspace at the minute and it just kind of built upon that. But I don't know. The last 80 pages or so are extremely dark and really disturbing, but it's probably whenever it was at that point at its most darkest and most disturbing, I actually enjoyed it a lot more because it was interesting, it was fascinating, it's what I wanted the whole way along for, but it didn't feel like a personal attack upon me. Work that out. And from the beginning to the end, this is not a happy book, and I love the ending. So definitely that's not an issue. It's just something about the way it's written, and I get that the girls in this are named after models and this kind of idea, but every single person in this book, I liked nobody, but not in a good way, not in a evoke emotion. It brought something out of it. I didn't like them at all. I don't understand why it had to be written like that, but I do, but I don't. Like I get these are girls that are not allowed to be educated and intelligent, because that goes all against the whole principle of male control over women, but just, I don't know. I think maybe I'm being harsh. Maybe if I read it again at some other point, I would like it a lot better. But even some of the relationships I didn't find believable in it. I don't know. I just have many issues. I'm sad by that because I was so excited for it. I might have to reread it again because I don't want to admit defeat with it because I was so excited for it. And I love The Handmaid's Tale. But then again, I don't know. That was like an early outbreak dystopia. This is long established, so maybe they do all become brainwashed, and that's like the point. But I will try again someday, maybe. So that was everything that I read in July. Sorry that it ended on a bit of a bad note, but I had such high hopes. Let me know down in the comments down below, what was your favourite book of July? Did you read anything really interesting? Let me know, have you read Only Ever Yours, and do you have the same issues that I had? Maybe it's just me. As always, links to my other social media will be listed down below, and if you like this video, please do give it a big thumbs up, and if you have not already, please do subscribe. Join our family, you'll be most warmly welcome. And until the next video guys, bye. Today we're going to talk about a book that has had much excitement here on BookTube, and that book is The Gracekeepers by Kirsty Logan.